Hey, I'm Slither. I'm a GM on Sindome, which, if you're watching this, you're probably a player on Sindome. But if you're not, you can find us. We're a cyberpunk, text-based online role-playing game that's free to play. And you can find us at sindome.org. That's S-I-N-D-O-M-E.O-R-G. This video is about choosing players over NPCs. NPCs are great, and they can get a lot of things done for you. But nothing beats a player for creating compelling roleplay. If you need your car fixed, find a player. Need a doctor, find a player. Need someone to brew some drugs for you, find a player. Need to find something special, some hard-to-find item, find a player. There might be more risks at times involved with interacting with the player, because, as you know, like an NPC, maybe they're less likely to rip you off or something. It's not really true on Sindome, if we're being honest, but you might feel that it is, even if it isn't. But the game is all about risk, and NPCs are, like specific NPCs, like a fixer NPC or a doctor NPC, is meant to fill the gap when players are not around. They're not meant to take the place of players that are trying to fill that role. So let's take a doctor, for example, a cyberdoc, who installs cybernetics. That's their job, and that's their way of making money. If you go to a player, you're contributing to the economy, and you're creating roleplay for another human being that plays this game. If you go to an NPC, you are creating roleplay for yourself, and some roleplay for a GM who probably has plenty of other things to be doing. You're not contributing to the economy, and you're not really creating roleplay in a cohesive way. You're also not opening yourself up to new opportunities. You're not meeting new people. You're not taking risks. GMs can fill the roles that players aren't filling with NPCs. We can puppet NPCs, and we can play those NPCs really well. But there's no real substitute for the interaction you're going to get with a player. You're missing out on a lot if you don't go to a player. So there are some challenges, like if you get into a fight and you're bleeding to death and you walk into fuller med, nobody's saying that you should just stick around and bleed to death waiting for a player character to show up. But that doesn't mean that you can't hire a player doctor to just follow you around when you're doing mischief and be prepared to heal you at a moment's notice. That's a cool job. That's great roleplay. I've done that myself, and it's been a lot of fun. If you are a judge character and you need a snitch, and sure, you could go to NPCs and you could hassle them, and the GMs will probably throw you a bone every now and then and give you some info. Or you could cultivate player relationships, player-snitch relationships, and really dig into the roleplay of what it's like to have someone on the hook. Like, they committed the crime, and now they need to report to you the information you want, and they're not reporting it enough, and you're just pressuring them, and they're stressing out because they're trying to meet your demands so they don't get clone death, and just like that whole thing right there is just character defining for some people, and you don't want to deprive them of that. So when there are players around, and we all know the best way to find somebody to do something is the sick, or post on the grid, you should use them. Now, this can mean building a little bit of extra time into whatever plot or plan you have, because you'll have to wait for the player to be around, potentially. But almost, we are at a point where there's enough players that almost every role in the game is filled by someone. And what that means is that you can almost always find someone to do just about anything that you want done. And you should try. If you're worried about, asking on the sick, again, switch aliases, and create a whole new persona and ask for services, illicit or otherwise. Create a fake grid account, or hire somebody to create a fake grid account for you, and then give you the login, and then post stuff on there and do your interactions like that. There are tons of ways to create roleplay for other characters, and one of the biggest ones is to avoid NPCs when it comes to goods and services, as much as possible, and wherever possible. Thanks. Hope this helped you.